And now for more messages with Carla Mae.
In just about any crowd, there are those stories about visits from the other side, angelic interventions, ghostly appearances, and orbs. They happen all the time. Each show, we will highlight some incredible story about the other side and how they interact with us here. Today, we're going to focus on Marcus Howell. Although he is no longer in his physical form, Marcus's spirit has been working overtime to orchestrate an incredible set of events, all designed to show his mom and dad that yes, he is around and he is okay, allowing them to ultimately let go of their grief and to find hope again. Marcus Anthony Howell was known for his generous heart, his giving spirit, and his uncanny ability to touch the hearts of the people that he met. His passions in life were soapbox derby racing as a young boy. Flying planes and helping out at his family's business was how he had spent his time in his adolescent days. And as a teen, his car, which he constantly worked on, was his most loved pastime. Ironically, it was in his car that he had loved so much that Marcus would pass away, setting off a remarkable chain of events. He was 16, a junior in high school, and had been warned by his parents not to drive on FM 2331, a seemingly quiet country road, but also the site where many deadly accidents had occurred. After school and rushed for time, Marcus tragically took the forbidden road. It was raining hard, the first rain after months of drought. The road was slick with built-up oil. Marcus lost control, spun out, and hit one of the few heavy metal posts in a long line of barbed wire fencing. Paramedics on their way back from another call, just minutes away from where his car came to a stop, rushed to the scene to find him unresponsive and with no vital signs. His car had been badly damaged beyond repair, yet he had no visible signs of injury. The paramedics were able to open an airway and to get a heartbeat, and they rushed him by care flight to an awaiting hospital.
When he passed, it affected a lot of people. A lot of professional people.
A lot of the people that were involved that afternoon and that night has come to us and has shared with us how spiritual that experience was for them.
At the hospital that night, I went and talked to the state trooper that worked the accident. He asked me who I was. And I said, Mark Howell. He says, no, you guys, y'all are somebody. We're not big famous people. He says, this was one of the strangest accidents I've ever worked. He said it was just really strange the way the accident, the scene went down and everything about it. The accident scene was real muddy. They had mud all over them, and the inside of the ambulance was real muddy and dirty. There was no blood or anything. There was nothing like that. It was just dirt. When they went back to the ambulance, they were like, I'm going to take this in the car and wash it, pull everything out and hose it down good. Got back and everything was perfectly clean. He said, I had, my whole body was covered in mud. And he says, we looked down, we're perfectly clean, the ambulance is clean. And I said, I don't think that was Marcus there doing that, because he wasn't a real clean freak, but maybe just did you a favor.
It's almost like an angel had spoke to me and said, Marcus cannot stay. And I said, God, if you gotta take him, just take him as he is. Don't mess up his hair, because he had a thing about his hair. Marcus didn't have a scratch on him. His hair wasn't even messed up.
I think that was part of what was so difficult about dealing with it that night, was for somebody that had been in a serious accident. There was not a visible mark on it.
No.
And coming up next on Messages with Carla Mae.
I started questioning what was going on.
I think after a while, Mark had denied either.
All of a sudden it dawned on her, this was Marcus. The way that he came to her through a trusted friend.
She was talking to him, no doubt about it. I think our faith has been restored.
And now for more Messages with Carla Mae.
After losing control of his car and slamming head-on into a concreted metal post, 16-year-old Marcus passed away in what many would later recall to be a defining spiritual experience.
It's almost like Angela spoke to me and said, you know, Marcus cannot stay. And I said, God, if you gotta take him, just take him as he is. Don't mess up his hair, because he had a thing about his hair. Marcus didn't have a scratch on him.
After working to revive Marcus in pouring rain and deep mud, paramedics would later return back to the station prepared to tackle their heavily muddied ambulance and clothes, only to find both spotless, without explanation.
He said I had, my whole body was covered in mud. And he says, we looked down, we're perfectly clean, the ambulance is clean.
The sadness was just overwhelming. You just want something to say. He's okay. Mom, I'm okay. And so you reach for that. You pray for it. And Marcus had come by my bedside and gave me a hug and said, Mom, I'm okay. I'm okay. Tell Dad I'm okay.
There were some things that happened that I started questioning what was going on.
It was so funny. It got to a point where you just couldn't ignore it anymore. He would start messing with Mark and moving his things, and I think after a while Mark hadn't denied either that he had a presence there at the house.
Deal was that when he came home at night, if I went to bed before he did, I'd turn the porch light on. And when he came home at nighttime, he used to turn the porch light off, so if I woke up, I could lay there in the bed and look, I could see if the light was on or not. And if it was off, I knew he was home and I'd go back to sleep. And I bet I spent the next year and a half, I left the porch lights on every night. And I bet Home Depot made over $200 on light bulbs because the porch lights would burn out. One time I changed them, I came home, they were out, and I changed them, went inside, and was doing some stuff and came back out 20 minutes later and one of the lights was burnt out already. Carla kept going to her and saying she's seeing a CD, and then she's seeing a mark, and then Carla said her head hurt really bad, and this should mean something to you. I think it was 20 or 30 minutes later, she said all of a sudden it dawned on her, this was Marcus. And ironically, his accident was a severe head injury that killed him, and when I got the email, I was like, okay. I've kind of thought about doing this, but if he's going to go to somebody and make their head hurt and all that stuff, I'll give it the time of day.
It was obvious from the reading that he was trying to get our attention for quite some time. He was just trying to find the right person that would help us spiritually as well.
I don't feel like I came to her. I feel like he brought her to us.
Yeah.
The way that he came to her through a trusted friend, that she's okay.
And coming up next on Messages with Carla Mae.
I started questioning what was going on.
I think after a while, Mark hadn't denied either.
All of a sudden it dawned on her, this was Marcus. The way that he came to her through a trusted friend.
This is a healing. I feel like my heart just doesn't hurt so much now.